A niche smelling unique fragrance that might be a little bit challenging, but I still love it. Amber Saffron from the brand of French Avenue. Let's check it out. Hey guys, I'm George, the nice smelling gentleman, and it's time for your dose of some fragrance content. As I said in the beginning of the video, today I'll talk about quite an unique scent that smells very niche that comes from the brand of French Avenue. And the interesting fact here is that I think this is an original creation by the brand itself. It's not a clone of anything, something that you rarely see from Fragrance World and French Avenue. Now this fragrance has been around for a while. I've heard about this one for the first time probably about an year ago, but for a long time this wasn't available on our markets. Then it showed up, but it was very expensive, so I just wasn't comfortable at paying around about 100 euros for this one. But lately the prices have dropped to a very reasonable level, and I personally paid I would say a very affordable price for this one, but I'll talk about pricing a little bit later. First of all, let's very quickly check out the packaging of this fragrance because it's very nice. First of all, the fragrance looks like this initially when you take out that plastic wrap, but this front part that you see is actually a sort of a sleeve. It contains the basic information about this one, the name of the brand, the name of the fragrance, Amber Saffron, the concentration, which is extrait de parfum. On the back you'll see a scratch of authenticity and the bottle size, which is 80 milliliters. First of all, let's take out that sleeve so that we can check out the actual box of this fragrance. This is the way that the box looks, and it's very sturdy, looks really nice. It has magnetic edges, and one other interesting fact is again that the bottle actually is incorporated into the whole box design, because that crystal that you see inside here is actually belongs to the actual bottle. You open up the box like this, and inside is where the bottle sits. Again, it's the whole fragrance has this sort of a crystal theme going on, because you got that crystal on the front, and the whole shape of the fragrance, and I don't know if you're going to be able to see it, but it has these angles and looks like a piece of gem or like a crystal. The cap is plastic, but it I think has some metal in it because it's quite heavy. It's a snug fit, and the overall heft of the bottle is nice. It's a little bit more on the heavy side without being unnecessarily heavy. All around, I really like the whole bottle design and the whole presentation. Okay, enough with the presentation and bottle design. Let's check out the sprayer, and then let's talk about the actual scent. The sprayer is good. Distribution is not superb, but at least it shoots a nice amount of juice out. Does its job. There are better sprayers out there, but they're definitely, worse sprayers than this one. And about the scent. Now, the name of the fragrance, Amber Saffron, really gives up pretty much the way that this fragrance smells. In order to like this one, as I said in the beginning, this might feel a little bit challenging. In order to like this one, you need to really like the notes of agar oud and the note of saffron, because this is very heavy on the saffron. Now, initially when you first spray this one, and you smell it up close, this is very heavy on that saffron note. For some reason, I've said this before in some of my other videos, but fragrances that are heavy on the saffron note, for some reason they come across smelling a little bit boozy to my nose. This is very heavy on the saffron. There's a hint of other spices, maybe something a little bit peppery in the opening of this one. This feels quite balsamic. There's some leather in this one, and definitely quite a bit of agar oud, which initially comes across a little bit skanky. Now probably this is the part where that combination of the strong saffron and the slightly skanky feeling agar oud note is what may turn off some people. Again, you really need to like those notes. Now the agar oud note is not like overly strong or super skanky, but definitely it carries a bit of animalic nature to it. That coupled with a bit of that leather as well really gives this fragrance a sort of a very Middle Eastern, very oriental smell, and again it comes off a little bit challenging. Now the more this fragrance dries down, actually the softer and easier to wear it becomes, because that agar oud note loses its skankiness and transforms itself into something a lot softer and easier to wear. Also the saffron loses its sort of sharpness, and also on that deeper dry down, the ambery note becomes stronger, although this is not a sweet fragrance for sure, but definitely on its dry down there is a touch of sweetness from the amber note, which adds even more softness to the whole scent. As well, I also pick up a bit of musk in this one, but basically this is all about the combination of saffron, agar oud, leather, and some ambery sweetness on its dry down. Again, it feels very oriental, it feels very Middle Eastern, and may feel a little bit on the challenging side, especially in the opening, but I personally really like this one. The quality is really nice, there's no harshness or anything, and I think French Avenue have done a really nice job with the scent of amber saffron. When it comes to performance, it's a strong fragrance. Now, I wouldn't call it a beast mode scent, but definitely lasts for a good amount of time. Initially, when I first got this one a few weeks ago and I tried it, it was giving me somewhere between 7 to 8 hours of performance, but with a few weeks of maturing, this actually is becoming stronger nowadays, and definitely on my skin it lasts at least 9 hours at this point in time. Also, initially when you first spray this one, in the first about 1 hour, this projects quite strongly, I think because of the strong and slightly sharp feeling saffron note. After that it starts to gradually sit closer and closer to the skin, but I would say that it projects pretty nicely in the first about 2 hours. So we're looking at total longevity of somewhere between 8 to 10 hours, especially after some maceration, and nice projection in the first about 2 hours. Price wise, as I said in the beginning of the video, when this initially became available on our markets, it was priced at around about 90, 95, even close to 100 euros. At that price point, although this really smells niche and it's quite unique, it's way overpriced in my opinion. So that's why I didn't pull the trigger, months ago. I waited for the price to settle. But at this current time, this pops up, for a price of around about 40 euros. So we're looking at around about $45 to $50. At that price point, given the fact that this has really good performance and it smells quite unique, I would say it's a good deal at that price point. I would advise you not to pay more than, let's say, $60 or 55 to 60 euros. I think at that price point, it's a good deal. And when it comes to versatility, this is definitely a fragrance that's more orientated towards the color months of the year. First of all, it's just too sharp and too woody and too skanky, especially in the opening, to be worn in hot weather, at least in my personal opinion. It's definitely a fragrance, it's a unisex scent, but I would say it leans very heavily to the masculine side, and it's definitely a cold weather fragrance. And in the end, a few final words about Amber Saffron from the brand of French Avenue. As I said, the first time I saw this fragrance was probably about a year ago, and I was really curious to try this one. I really wanted to check this one out, but unfortunately for a long time this wasn't available around here. Then it showed up, but it showed up at a very high price, so I had to wait for the prices to settle. Now, when the prices became, right in my opinion, at around about 40 euros, I pulled the trigger and I couldn't be happier. This is really nice, really unique smelling fragrance that has a very oriental spirit, very Middle Eastern spirit. It's very heavy on the saffron note, it's very spicy, feels a little bit skanky in the opening. There's a nice amount of leather and amber sweetness on its dry down, a bit of musks as well. This smells very unique, definitely smells niche. And the scent profile, if it came from a niche brand, probably would have costed at least like $200 or euros or something like that. So again, if you can find it for 50-60 euros, if you're not afraid of wearing something that has a strong agar oud note that feels a little bit animalic, if you like the note of saffron, you should really like this one. But again, this feels a little bit challenging, especially in the opening. So my advice to you will be try to sample this one if you can get like a decant or something like that, or if you have a store where you can test this one, do it before you actually buy it. Personally, for me, this was a love at first sniff. So guys, in today's video, I reviewed a unique smelling, I would say even a niche smelling fragrance from the brand of French Avenue that actually is an original French Avenue creation. That's not a clone of anything. That really smells nice and I absolutely love it. I hope that you found today's video interesting. If you did, give it a like. And I also hope that you're going to join me in my next video for your dose of some fragrance content. And until then, stay safe and bye-bye.